Okay, רבי סי, amazing Parsha, Parshat Vayigash. Vayigash elav Yehuda, Vayomer bi Adoni. Several questions that everybody probably asked, I hope to ask. On last week's Parasha, we see very clear that Yehuda Tzaddik was fine with Yosef, which needs a lot of explanation as well. Yehuda Tzaddik telling Yosef, he said, no problem, אשר ימצא מעבדיך ומת, and we're going to be slaves for my master. ואנחנו נהיה עבדים לאדוני. זה רעיון טוב, ככה לא יתקע לי הראש. כמו וייפרס, כן. הנה, הרבי לי גם זה, מסתדר לנו טוב. So Yehuda is telling, at the beginning, Yosef אומר לו, אין לי בעיה, no problem, you're going to be my... You're going to be, he's going to die, we're going to be slaves. They came to the city, and Yehuda is telling him, מה נדבר ומה נצטדק, האלוקים מצא את עוון עבדיך, you're right, my fault. In other words, we are at fault, we take full responsibility, we are going to be, הננו עבדים לאדוני. We're going to be slaves to you. He says, no, the one who stole will be slave, the remaining are not. Fair or not fair? Fair. Yehuda He's telling him, we are going to be slaves by you. We take responsibility for the action of our brother. Suddenly, in this week parasha, we see huge change. ויגש אליו יהודה, דיבר איתו קשות, נכנס בו. מי אדוני, דבר לך, כי חמוך כפרעה, kill you. הלו, what's the change? Second before, you were willing to sit as a slave. Second after, you get up. לא. אני נכנס עד הסוף, I'm going to kill you, make sure it happen. מה קורה פה? What's changed between last week parasha to this week parasha? Second obvious question. He said, by the way, I'm much better servant than him. He serves. If you need somebody, I can serve you better. I have more koach than him. I'm more qualified for the job. סליחה. You didn't do anything wrong. I mean, do you think I have a problem finding strong people to work for me? He's telling him, okay, I'm stronger than him. Now you should take me instead. You didn't do anything. You seen. I'm supposed to take him instead. Next part. Yakov, during this story, he gives them a whole story about the family information. This is what's going on in the family. You told us I'm supposed to take him. My father will be uncomfortable. What that has to do?
What does he care?
What does he care? And what's the information that the new information? He knew all this information. What's the new information that he's giving him to first say, okay, now you can't take him because that your father said we want to go up, we're supposed to go down, and he didn't want to give it. Now he gave it. Who cares? What's that information relevant to Yosef? First question, very interesting change. When he says what Yakov said, he says, "ולקחתם גם את זה מעם פניי וקראו אסון." והורתם את צבתי ברעה שעולה. פסוק כ"ט, he said, you're going to bring me, Yaakov said, you're going to bring me ברעה שעולה. On פסוק למד א', והיה כראותו כי אין הנער ומת, והורידו עבדיך את צבת עבדך אבינו ביגון שעולה. So when he described down, כן, ביגון. When what Yaakov says was ברעה. What he said that he will do is ביגון. What's the difference? מה אתם משנים?
What do those words mean?
יגון is sorrow.
Yeah? It's ביגון מאוד חזק, כן.
I was like more, like
Worse. יגון is worse. Much worse, כן. much wasn't רע. עכשיו, ask another basic question, and I heard people asking around. It says, by the way, הודיע להם שהוא מהול. נכון? All of the מצרים were מהולים. What's the point?
Square.
What really bothers me, when if somebody didn't see brothers for many years, נכון? Yosef, who was Yosef missing? כן, הוא מעל את כולם.
Yosef, what about?
כן. שהאחים לא ירגישו שונה. He didn't want בני ישראל to feel different.
But that was after.
מאיפה הוא יודע?
Maybe after.
That was after or before he revealed?
Before.
In order to give them food, he said that you have to get a good.
והיו מעולים. So what's the raya? But when Yosef meets his siblings, and he missed Binyamin, נכון? What should be the first reaction when you miss your brother? אני יוסף עוד אביחי, why should you? Hugs to Binyamin and his siblings. He goes through the politics and the economy planning of Egypt. And Yosef Od Avichai, and he started telling him, now there was supposed to be famine, you can come, you're going to move over here, etc. And tell my father everything, and then after all this list, Pasuk Yudalet, then ויפול על צרי בנימין אחיו ובני אחד צעריו הרב. In Hebrew it's called הצתה המאוחרת, He was late in his reaction. You introduce yourself, you're supposed to give hugs, you're supposed to enjoy it. What's going on?
It's like a fluorescent light.
Huh?
It's like a fluorescent light.
Yeah, ולא פתאום להתעורר. Now, very interesting. He's telling them later, by the way, ועיניכם, when you go, אל תחוסו על כליכם, don't worry about your כלים. כל טוב ארץ מצרים לכם היא. Everything here, don't worry about what you have over there, leave it, We know that יעקב אבינו חזר על פחים קטנים, נכון? So, you can't just, on small stuff, you went back, that you forgot, and you fought with
Small
Asia.
jars.
Small jars. So, the הנהגה of the house is, you're supposed to be responsible for small money. Suddenly, Yaakov doesn't care about, Yosef doesn't care about the beliefs of his father. Don't worry about your money, leave it over there. What's the pshat?
To get rich.
Huh?
Yosef got
Doesn't
rich,
matter.
he doesn't care about small change.
Yaakov was also
Sure,
rich.
Yaakov was also rich. Yeah, but
But now
Yosef
Yaakov
was
is
rich.
broke.
Everyone was Yosef's
No,
slave.
they said leave whatever you have there. So obviously you have to.
Yeah, but
If you're rich and you care about the small little things, if you're poor, you should be
well,
short.
being rich is by having all the animals and the food, and that was a being rich back then.
Not like Yosef.
They were in a
Yosef was the
famine,
one
he's
who
broke
most
right
rich
now.
people in the world.
Yeah, but you shouldn't bring this stuff
In
down.
order to understand, we need to go back to Parashat Miketz. Parashat Miketz, פרק מ"ב, פסוק, let's start, פסוק ל"ז. פרשת מקץ, פרק מ"ב, פסוק ל"ז. So when they ask, this one is 125. So when they ask, when they told Yaakov, by the way, we gotta bring ראובן, נכון?
מה זה למד זין?
ויאמר ראובן אל אביו, ליאור זמור, עליך. So they said, by the way, Abba, we need to bring Binyamin in order to release Shimon. So, ויאמר ראובן אל אביו לאמור,
Release
את
Benjamin.
שני בני ימית, אם לא אביאנו אליך, תנה אותו על ידי ואני אשיבנו אליך. I'm going to kill my two children. I'm taking the highest responsibility of the world. Just make sure, give it to him.
לא, אבל תמיד it's you. לא אני. תמיד זה אתה. He's gonna kill you.
Yeah, you're going to kill them,
gonna
right,
kill
yeah, you're going to kill them. ויאמר לא ירד בני עמכם, כי אחיו מת, והוא לבדו נשאר. הוא קרא, הוא אסון בדרך אשר תלכו בה, והורתם את צוותי ביגון שאולה. So two things. The reason he said no,
Over here says Yagon Shula.
huh?
Over here says Yagon Shula. Like
Yeah,
that.
שנייה. So he said, why not? I would have the simple reason, look, I'm not going to kill your children, נכון ראובן? What's the answer? לא ירד בני עמכם כי אחיו מת והוא לבדו נשאר, because his brother died and he stayed by himself, and I'm worried, he didn't even respond on the טענה of Reuven. Reuven's giving him, I'm taking responsibility, if not, you're going to kill my two children. He's telling him, no, it's not going to work. And he used the words, והורתם את צוותי ביגון שאולה. So מה יעקב אומר? ביגון, נכון? What was the word that was used by Yehuda that Yaakov said? No. רעה. Then he said, but if not, we're going to be יגון. So why here it's יגון, and Yehuda presented as רעה.
Where did
אבל
he say
לפני
רעה?
כן, in our Parsha, we said it
Vayigash.
בויגש.
We just said he said
So
Yagon.
Yaakov is not the problem.
Here
The
it
problem
is
is the
Ra.
Ra.
And
No,
later-
also here,
No,
Vayigash,
right
he
before
said.
was Ra. ברעש, אבל two פסוקים before. When he said what the story from his father is ברעה. Okay. Now,
There's two in Vayigash.
now
and
so
Tomi.
Reuven is telling him something, and he responding, no, his brother left, I'm not going to do it. He doesn't even address the concern of Reuven. Now, very interesting, they told him before, right? When they arrived, they said, Abba, by the way, כל האחים מרגלים. Abba, by the way, we told, over there, he told us that, we told him that there is we have a brother, and he told us to bring a brother. Yaakov doesn't say anything. When Reuven says, I will take responsibility, שני בני תמיד, he just tell him, no, his brother left, I cannot leave you. I cannot do that. Then the pasuk continued. ואומר אליו יהודה וכולי, please send us, make sure you're sending us so we can get for you food. ויאמר ישראל, he asked him, למה הראותם לי, פרק מ"ג פסוק ו', ויאמר ישראל, למה הראותם לי להגיד לאיש, היש לכם הודח? So, Israel is telling him, by the way, why did you do that? Why did you tell him that you have another brother? Now, Yaakov, you woke up to ask this question? This is what should be asked for him on day one. When you messed up, what do you say? You say, יש לנו אח, נכון? They told Yaakov, by the way, we told the guy, we have ach, and that's why we not to bring him. Yaakov should respond, למה אמרתם את זה? After a few months, whatever it took, then, by the way, why did you tell them that? איפה היית עכשיו, Yaakov? What's wrong? Now, then Yaakov...
He was in a famine.
then,
His head was not, they're in a famine. Your head's not there.
No, we're talking about
אתה לא
billion
ישר פה.
people in the world, Shlomo. You can't just say, הוא לא חשב.
לא, אבל אתה...
Now, it took him 3 months to
in the
לקלוט
worst
למה הם
case you
אמרו.
can be. אתה למטה של הלמטה.
Now that you realize that they want Binyamin, so now he steps up. He's like,
No, but that question was already before. When Reuven said, I'm going to beg, that was already right.
And how come they treat Binyamin like he's a nar, he's a baby? Yes,
Huh?
Binyamin is, they treat him like if this is some little booba with you can squeeze his cheeks, kilo is
Every youngest kid is treated like
There's
that.
10 kids, not about
But every youngest kid is treated like that.
My mom still pinches my cheeks. I'm her
They're
baby.
treating him like as if he's a...
I
No,
said,
Binyamin has 10 kids already, you know?
Let him decide by himself if he
משפחה
wants
ברוכת
to.
ילדים כבר. Now, after Yehuda, when Yehuda responded back, then the father said, okay, so we have to see what was really the change. Paul said the following, באמת, what's the difference between the offer of Reuven, שתי בני תמיד, to the offer of יהודה, אנוכי ערבנו, מידי תבקשנו, אם לא עברתי אליך וחטאתי לך כל הימים. Reuven,
What does you does?
One is more for
Yehuda said, אנוכי ערבנו, מידי תבקשנו, I'm taking responsibility for him.
Reuven's
No.
offering someone else.
Huh?
Reuven is offering someone else.
Right.
Yehuda's
So what's the
offering himself.
yeah? So what's the fundamental issue? So we should follow. When they came back, they go to Egypt as brothers together. Brother is a unit. נכון? As a unit, they gave wrong information to Yosef. They said, "We have a brother at home." As a unit, when you give the wrong information, you cannot accuse the unit. Why did you do it? Because when you go to a mission, you cannot do everything right.
Wait, how's the wrong information?
Telling
did
him
have
we have a
Binyamin.
brother, telling him
No,
we
they
have
shouldn't have.
Binyamin.
No, they shouldn't have done.
Talking about giving unnecessary information.
Oh,
So as a unit, he has no claim against him. You're right. I mean, you did something wrong. I'm not going to blame you, because that's how it works. You go to a mission, you have a job, you're getting it done. You did something wrong in the middle.
Sometimes
You're
you
not
win,
to blame.
sometimes you lose.
Yeah, you're not at blame. When when Reuven came to Yaakov and he says, I'm taking responsibility for him, what was the responsibility of Reuven? He says, I promise you, my force to bring him would be the result of my actions. Which means,
Bal Korchi.
the higher the result will be, the more responsible I'm going to be for my brother. That's the message of Reuven. So I'm taking the highest result in the world. The highest result in the world is for someone to have 2 children being killed by his own father. So he's telling his father, obviously you're not going to kill my children, I know. But the level I'm taking the responsibility on my brother, the result equivalent, if anything happened to him, as if
My children went.
my children being killed by you. This is the highest level of result that he's taking. The biggest issue when you go by result, that if there is a limitation, it's limited by the result. Yaakov realized at this point that those brothers are not connected. A unit means that I am taking the bullet for my friend. I'm here for him. I'm here instead of him. When you need an external force to take responsibility to do it, that means that you're not really there for him.
What is his sons, his 2 sons?
Yeah,
The children.
right.
Says that Reuven is not real enough.
If you need external consequence, that means you're not there for him. If you're not there for each other, I cannot let you go. What was the response of Yaakov? Achiv levado nishar. Guys, the brother was alone. You are alone. You are a bunch of individuals alone.
Not
You live-
united. Not
You're
united.
not united. You all live by yourself. And this approach was taken going forward. When Yaakov told them, when Yehuda told him right after, And now he says, "Voraten et sevati." What was the word?
Biyagon.
Biyagon. What's the difference between yagon and ra'ah? Ra'ah is something bad, disaster. Yagon is the highest level of devastation. If a child died because he had to die, it's not the father is going to be bera'ah she'olah. But if a child died because of the fault of the sibling, this is the worst feeling that the father can have. That's considered as biyagon. He said the level of responsibility that you guys are taking for each other is derived by the consequence. You're not there replacing your sibling. Then if anything going to happen, this is the worst feeling I can have in the world. That my son caused the other son to die, that's considered as biyagon. Yehuda continued and he said, by the way, Abba, let's get us food. And he says, אם ישך משלח את אחינו נרד ונשברה לך אוכל. יהודה treat יעקב אז individual, לך אוכל. ואם אינך משלח לא נרד. Now, beginning an attack. Who's talking now? ויאמר ישראל למה ראותם לי? We have a switch. Up to now was Yakov, individual family. Now Yakov understands that we need to reprogram the family. He's talking to them as Israel, as the nation. And he's telling him, why did you hurt me? Why did you say something wrong? Now he can accuse them. Before he couldn't accuse Lama, he thought they were united. Now that he realized that a bunch of the individuals, he said, okay, as individual you did a mistake, nachon? If individual you did a mistake, why did you do that mistake? There was one person who was talking over there, nachon? So they did a mistake as an individual. Why did you do it? So very interesting. Who is Yaakov's dialogue with? Yehuda. Through this subject is with Yehuda. Abba, get us food, back and forth. When he accusing them for telling them, what did you say? You have a brother. Who is he talking to? Everybody together. Meaning, he does not accusing Yehuda. He said, guys, you're all at fault. Meaning, you are responsible for each other. The response was, no, Shaol Sha'al Otanu Aiz. They all took responsibility for each other in the response. He was trying to garot otam to get them onto the mode. Guys, you have to understand, you got to be responsible. I'm accusing all of you. Even though one guy did it, it's all of you as a group together. After that, it's beautiful in the Pasuk. Vayomeru, they all answer together. And then he goes back to Yehuda. Vayomer Yehuda al Israel Aviv. Now they understand the problem. Yehuda changes conversation. Shilcha את הנער איתי, ונקומה ונלכה ונחיה, ולא נמות גם אנחנו, גם אתה, גם תפנו, all of us together. Yehuda unify the brotherhood. Now we understand we got to be one entity. Now, אנוכי יערבנו, מיידי תבקשנו. Okay, I understand what's the problem. I got to be there for my brother. That was our mistake. So Yaakov is telling him, I am becoming Binyamin. Anochi tervenu, miyadi tevakshenu. Which means, now let's understand what is the responsibility of Yehuda toward Binyamin. If Binyamin doing something wrong and he get punished, is Yehuda at fault?
No.
No. He did something wrong. When is Yehuda going to be at fault? When there is something to do for him as a brother. But if there is nothing to do to him as a brother, if he did something wrong, Yehuda has no right to say anything. And obviously, you need to stand aside and say, I'm sorry, kapara, you messed it up.
But you
Which
just
that's
said
going to be the question. Later on, he says, we're going to bring, they said, Yaakov, we're going to והורידו את שיבת עבדך אבינו ביגון שאולה. It's not we, it's Binyamin is the cause, not we. We'll see it in a minute. So at this point, Yaakov is telling, Yehuda is saying, I am become Binyamin. So whatever Binyamin deserve will deserve. Whatever I will do for myself to save myself, I will do it for Binyamin. Now Yaakov, by the way, at this point, he changed all of his tune. If you read weiter the Psukim, Vekel Shaddai ייתן לכם רחמים, את אחיכם, את בנימין, he's giving them, everybody bring food together. He's trying to unify the family. They are all bonded one together. This is first week. The end of the week Parsha, we see what's going on. Binyamin is stealing the Gavia. The response was, if you stole the Gavia, two things. The one who stole...
He stole it?
Huh?
Do you actually think he stole it?
Yeah. Simple pshat, he stole it. So before you know who's who, he said, whoever stole it will die, and we're going to be slave. מה קרה פה? When someone is stealing the gavia of the king, there are two averot that's going on over here. Avera number one is stealing. Avera number two, you disrespect the king. Someone who disrespects the king, what do you do to him?
Kill him.
Making him a slave to the kingdomship. You think you are above the kingdomship, we're putting you below the kingdomship. So therefore, Yehuda says, if this is what happened, I'm telling you what's going to be. The one who stole it, the one who stole it is supposed to die. But the remaining will be slaves. Why? If one of us has the ability, right, to disrespect the king, that means we all disrespecting him. Because we are all united together. If we all disrespecting the king, we all deserve. That's why you offer. Why did you offer such a? No, we all deserve it. That means we have no respect to the king, so we take fully responsibility. The response of the Shaliach of Yosef was, לא. אשר תימצא הגנבה, אשר יימצא איתו יהיה לי לעבד, ואתם תהיו נקיים. No, whoever found it will be a slave, and you're going to be clean. אתם תהיו נקיים. Now,
Rabbi, this is kind of like
that's the Shaliach of Yosef.
this is kind of like Rivka when she stole the thing.
Take me off. Let me just okay. Yeah, מנשה לכאורה. Now, ויאמר יהודה לאדוני, the end of the last week פרשה, מה נדבר ומה נצטדק? האלוקים מצא את עוון עבדיך, הננו עבדים לאדוני, גם אנחנו, גם אשר נמצא הגביע בידו. יהודה is telling him, look, I understand you forgive the portion of the gneva you find. You don't kill for the gneva. So what's the only thing remains over here?
Slavery.
Is disrespecting. So disrespecting what's supposed to be? We all has to be slaves. What's the response of Yosef? No, Chalila li. What's Chalila means?
Chaz
No
v'chalila.
way in the world. There is no respect issue over here. Chalila, chol, meaning this is not the issue. No, I'm fine. You respect me. I'm fine. Only he is supposed to be a slave. That means that we have no more the issue of gneva, of stealing, because it's not going to die. We have no more issue of
You guys disrespect.
this disrespect, because it says Khalil Ali. I have no issue of disrespect. So why are you taking Binyamin? Something personal, נכון? נדלקת עליו. לכאורה, now at this point you realize that when Yosef is taking Binyamin to be a slave, it's something personal that Yosef has toward Binyamin. He said, okay, if it's personal, let's talk personal. Up to this point, I was talking to you as a king. But if you forgive, there is no king. There is something personal. Let me tell you my personal life. Now he goes to him and he says, "Kamocha keparo, ani arkil ocha, ani arkil keparo." This is personal. I'm not talking to you as a king. As a personal, I can win you over. As a king, I need to respect you. Now he goes through the story, what's going on, and he explained to him what's going on over here. He says, since you'll be talking about personal issue, he said, if I have, so he offering, by the way, the conclusion is, I am going to be there instead of my brother. I am a better slave, I'm a better servant. So he's telling him, look, since it's personal, let's see who has more personal reasons. I can understand you have a personal. I will present to you my personal reasons, and you need to respond back to me, what's your personal reasons? Now he's telling the father, he says, unbelievable. All of the story is about his father, what's the father going to feel, is not going to feel. He said, let me explain to you the ramification of this personal approach. If, he says, my father was concerned, oratem et tzevati bera'a she'ola. What the father said? The father says biyagon, נכון? When did Yakov says biyagon?
To Reuven.
When did he say biyagon to Reuven? After Yehuda, it's not Yagon anymore. Lama?
United.
We're united, we're together. I'm there for you. Then it becomes bera'a. So anything going to happen over here,
Does it say Bera?
huh?
It says Bera.
He says, פה אומר עכשיו, ולקחתם מצוותי ברעה שעולה. So at this point, it's becoming only bera'ah. So he's telling him, by the way, if are we going to take him for my father says, if you're taking Binyamin, it will be ra'ah. I'm not going to be beyagon because I know you're going to do everything for your brother. Therefore, it's going to be only ra'ah. But says Yehuda, since I am a better servant than Binyamin, that means I can replace Binyamin. If I don't replace Binyamin, am I doing my responsibility to him as a brother? No. So he says, ואתה כבויל עבדך אבי, פנה רנן ליתו שלו ושלו, והיה כראותו כן הנער מת, והורידו עבדך את צבת עבדך אבינו, ביגון שעולה. He said, if everything goes by the book, it will be bera'ah. But if I'm not going to do what I'm doing to you now, I'm going to cause to my father to be biyagon.
Why?
Why are you going now?
Because if I am the cause for what happened to him, if I can replace him, if I'm a better servant and I can replace him, I have the responsibility. If I don't do my responsibility, my fiduciary responsibility, that means that I'm not acting as a brother. What's going to happen to my father? He will go down, biyagon. So he's bringing him now a whole formula by showing him we are united, we are fully responsible. You have a personal reason to take Yosef.
To take me, I'm better.
I'm better. In a personal, I am better. ולא יכול יוסף להתאפק. אז הלשון, לכל הניצבים ועליו, and he said, everybody get out. What's לא יכול יוסף להתאפק? Yosef seeing something
That he didn't see
before.
Careful, Abba.
Because what was the response of Yaakov to Reuven? אחיו מת והוא לבדו נשאר. You were, his brothers, you were alone. Yaakov, Yosef realized that they are all
Together now.
together. What is the wishes of Yaakov at this point?
גם עד עכשיו יהודה שרף לו את
What's the
הלב.
biggest wishes of Yaakov?
Unity.
To
For them
be
to be together
to be
as a
part
family,
of
as
it.
a brotherhood.
What Yaakov is doing today is Yosef, nothing selfish. It's all what's good to be united together. We ask, why didn't give them hug right away? Nachon? Kisses. Who wants to give hug and kisses? Yosef. יפה? It's not about that. Now it's about being united. So what is he doing? Step one is telling him, אני יוסף, העוד אביחי. Step two, he makes himself vulnerable to them. במחילה, but the guy goes, אני יוסף, and he show him his breed. What's wrong with you?
And
That
Rabbi, why does he
means-
say Od Avichai?
Huh?
He knows the
Right, no,
father.
that's another question. What's wrong with you? I mean, you're showing me breed right away. He's trying to show them, by the way, אני יוסף, but I'm becoming part of you. Nothing about me. There is no attitude. There is no arrogance from me. I'm showing you that I am mahul. You're right that some other Egyptians are meulim, but the message of ani mahul is not about the technical Greek. It's about the it's vulnerable. I'm exposed. I'm putting myself to. I'm here for you. The next sentence, what is he telling them? We're going to be famine. This is the economy situation. Why is that important? He's telling him, I'm now, the first action I'm doing when I'm becoming your back with you, I'm taking the responsibility on the family. מכלכל אתכם, מפרנס אתכם. So I'm joining this family. After they realized he joined the family, what did he do? He hugged Binyamin. Now he can hug Binyamin.
Yeah, they
You
took a
can-
step back. They were afraid.
נבהלו מפניו because they didn't know that he's there for them.
So,
But he exposed, he put himself in front of them to show it's not about me. I'm becoming part of you. I'm united with you together. Therefore, it says, afterwards he gave a hug to Binyamin and he started crying to Binyamin. So it's interesting that he was crying twice. נכון? When you on an emotional mode, people cry, you know, if you didn't see each other, right? They cry, oh, נגמר. Because what causing a cry? A cry caused by something sudden that happened. Crying means something suddenly happened, so people either laugh or cry. So what, if something sudden happened over here, they cry. Why is he crying again? There were two things over here. The first thing that he cried is, He was crying from joining
The unity.
unity. The second thing, he met his personal brother, he's crying on him. Now he continued, and he's telling him, "V'lo tachus al kelechem." Don't worry about your kelim, don't worry about your food. Yaakov beseder, but Yaakov said you got to be worried about pachim ktanim, small stuff. He's telling him there are two different anagot. Yaakov is an individual. We are a family. As a family, we don't look into the small details. We got to focus on the big details. The only way to be united is
So he's limiting his father?
no. As an individual, Yaakov responsible for his money. As a family making a change to the family, you cannot look on the small details. There is no way to change a family when you pay attention to the details.
He's being
You gotta
responsible for
focus-
the family.
You got to focus on the big picture. The family needs to move. Don't worry about the details. It's all about being united. That's why he takes charge. He understands now he's the king of the family. I need to lead you as a family, not as an individual. The details are not relevant. Now they meet with Yaakov, and they see Yaakov. They tell Yaakov, "Oh, Beni Chai." He said, they told Yosef, by the way, Yosef Chai, ויפוג ליבו ולא האמין להם. He didn't believe them.
What's Vayafok?
Then he said, well, I'll tell you in a second. Then he said, by the way, וירא את העגלות אשר שלח יוסף, he saw עגלה ערופה, that he taught them, the last parasha was that the Yaakov learned with Yosef was the parasha of עגלה ערופה, now הוא האמין להם. So,
Did he break the Avodah Zarah?
Huh?
Yeah.
He saw the Avodah Zarah on the Eglah was broken, so he knew it has to be Yosef?
Yeah, no, that's a midrash.
Paro.
But the simple pshat was that Agla Rufa, he learned with him last time Agla Rufa, he gave him as a, remember that's what the last thing we do, he reminded to him. Why Yaakov doesn't believe them? Because Yaakov said to himself, Yaakov sees them as separate people. As separate people, I can't believe that you got your brother back. Because the only way for Yosef to be back, to be the king, is when? What was the original dream? They all needs to bend down to him. What's the only way for the brothers to bend down to their sibling? He says, back then we said, "Vayisneu oto," nachon, they hated him. So if you hate somebody, there is a way you can bend down to him. When can you bend down to him? Only if are united. You love him. You all together. We understand. Okay, one of us got to be a leader. So when they telling him, Yosef, now v'chiu moshel b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, he's the king of Mitzrayim. He's going to be king over you. He said, "V'afeg libo v'lo yamin lahem." He couldn't believe that they are all together. Vayar et ha'agalot asher shalach Yosef. What's the siman of the Eglah Rufa? So the Gemara says, in Eglah Rufa, the closest city needs to say, "Yadenu lo shafchu." Torah אומרת את הדם הזה. But you didn't kill the guy.
What's a galu?
If somebody was found dead between cities, the closest city is supposed to bring a special cow and they chop the head from the back, and they said special litany, it says special tefillah. So they said, "Yadenu lo shafchu et adam hazeh." So we didn't kill this guy, but obviously we didn't kill this guy. The guy
Because you're
dead.
there escorting.
יפה, the Gemara says, "אף שעדיין לא שלחו," because that means that we were responsible to give him food and bread to the road. When you give somebody food and bread to the road, what's the feeling of the guy? He feels good about himself. People care about me. If you're going to have any battle, you're going to be able to overcome the battle and to be successful. They're telling now, Yaakov, you know what's the parasha that Yosef told us that he learned with you? The parasha of Eglah Rufa. We got to be responsible for each other when we're out there. We got to make sure that no one of us going to be alone. The reason people are dying is because they felt alone. Telling him, "Vayar et ha'agalot asher shalach Yosef," he says, "Okay, you understand that you got to support that." But Techi Ruach Yaakov Aviyem. Now you got his life path. Now you understand everybody are all united together. We can move back.
So why didn't Yosef go with them?
Huh?
Why didn't Yosef go with them?